As you know, the On Farm podcast is brought to you by the team at Scene&HerdPR and Marketing, and I just wanted to remind you about a new initiative that's happening here called On Record. On Record is a project to preserve voices, stories and memories for the future with your very own audio recording. So we're recording memories of rural life. We're travelling around Scotland, working with families and organisations to capture precious voices of family members or staff members or long-serving office bearers, to preserve those for posterity and sometimes for historical value. So if you think this project is something that you'd like to be involved in, and maybe you have a grandparent or a parent that you'd like to capture on audio while you can, please do get in touch. You can find out more at onrecordmemories.co.uk. Hello and welcome to the On Farm podcast. It's Anna with you this week, and we're revisiting something this week that was prompted by a Facebook memory that cropped up for me. I can't believe that it is 4 years since producer Dave and I travelled up to meet farmer and comedian Jim Smith on his farm to record a podcast with him. Time flies and it's really quite scary, but it's a brilliant episode. In fact, there are 2 episodes because we had so much chat with him that we couldn't possibly narrow it down to 1 episode. So we're going to be repeating the Jim Smith episodes this week and next week for you to enjoy. If you have listened before, I'd recommend listening again because it's brilliant. Obviously, stuff has changed since then. I know Jim has had, I think, at least 1, possibly 2 children since then, and a lot has changed in the world. But what hasn't changed is the fact that Jim is hilarious and also an excellent farmer and an excellent ambassador for our industry. So grab a cup of tea and enjoy a listen.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of On Farm. It's coming from my farm in middle of rural Perthshire, and I'm farmer and comedian Jim Smith.
We're not going to give out the address because Jim's a bit worried about all the stalkers turning up on his doorstep. He's got quite a few fans on Twitter, I think, who are desperate to find out where he lives, and I don't think Morag would be too happy if they all turned up here in a bus.
The only stalkers we have around here are the ones that go about with tweed caps shooting deer, so...
Well, give it time. Give it time. When you're even more internationally famous, I'm sure they'll be trekking up. If their cars can get up the farm road, they'll be coming here to bang on your front door. So is that why you keep it a wee bit bumpy to keep them away?
Absolutely, yeah.
Morag's out digging the potholes in the middle of the night to make sure they can't get here.
Laying dynamite. No, it's good. It's good. At least we can see who's ever come up the road, so it's good.
True, yeah, from quite a distance actually. So you can.
I've got 2 minutes to get in my bed, get dressed.
It is absolutely stunning. We can see the snow on the hills in the distance.
That's the Sidlaw Hills. So.
Oh, okay.
So I was just looking east on down to the Vale of Strathmore, that kind of flat plain. That's God's country. That's where I really want to farm, you know.
So once you've made your millions, you're going to buy another farm.
Maybe yes.
Well, it is beautiful, and we've picked a good day for it as well. It's calm and blue skies, and it's lovely. So, and we've got the cattle shed behind us. So they're just, when we arrived this morning, Jim and his mum, who I think does a lot to help, doesn't she, Jim?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
We're busy feeding the cattle with this. What I love is this beautiful pink bucket. I'd love a pink bucket. I'm going to go and get a pink bucket for the farm. Just cheers the place up. So we arrived and interrupted that task, and Jim's mum's gone in the house, and now we're having a chat. So I think we're going to go up and see the sheep as well. If that's all right. Is that okay?
Sheepies? Yes, totally.
Excellent. Absolutely. You've got a day-old calf in the corner there.
Just calving yesterday. So yeah, so we're delighted with that. She was all calved herself and up sucking and all the rest of it. So it's great when they're like that. I love this time of year.
So she's the first one, is she?
First one of the spring, so
lovely.
Okay, I just love this time of year now. It bursts into life, and we're a bit away from getting some decent weather yet. But
but the snowdrops are out, and you can see the daffodils coming,
totally.
And it does kind of lift the spirit, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I always think March can turn on a penny. On a penny, it's it can be like this one week, and then all you need is 2 or 3 dry days, and then folk are out ploughing. It's a great month. I love it.
It is, yeah. And we're also standing near your new tractor, because you were telling me that you got a new tractor. Did you buy it specifically so that you could listen to tunes on Spotify?
Yeah.
But you plug in and so you're quite a regular podcast listener yourself?
Yeah, I've listened to a few, Will Evans and also Michael Blanche with the the Perthshire pod.
Oh yes, yeah. Still not met him.
He's brilliant. He's good value. And then I like football from like the 60s, 70s and 80s, when Scotland used to be good at it. So there's some good podcasts on that.
Yeah. Comedy, do you ever listen to comedy podcasts or not? Really?
I tend not to, because then if you listen to good jokes, you're like, oh, that's a shame. I wish I'd thought of that one. So,
yeah, you don't want to sow too many seeds.
Yeah.
We noticed when we were micing Jim up earlier on, he was wearing a boiler suit and we put the mic inside the top pocket, and we noticed, Jim, you've got a wee, it's not black or red, blue notebook in your pocket. Does that go everywhere with you?
Absolutely, yeah. Aye.
And how often do you write ideas in there?
Maybe once a day, if I get a good idea, once a day. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'll have 2 or 3. Yeah. And then sometimes I'll go days without anything. So
can we hear something? Some of these notes.
No, I don't know. Well, half these won't make it. As you know, my girlfriend's expecting, so I'm going to be a father in July. So there's great hilarity comparing it to a lambing shed, or there's a joke in here about how we didn't know she was pregnant, but until the scan man came to see the cows, and then we just put Morag in the crate last. Things like that,
So you'd be devastated if that notebook got lost.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Really photocopy it every night.
One couldn't happen without the other. No farming, no comedy.
Absolutely.
In a way, no comedy, no farming. I suppose because you need that release. Do you do just something a bit different?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the comedy just started off as a hobby, but it's now a mainstay now. Folk will sometimes say, "Oh, you're going to give up the farming." And I can't understand why they would ask me that, because I would never ever do that. And I know we've got suckler cows here and breeding sheep, the 2 things that give you the most bloody hassle at times. But I mean, the farming is the number one passion. That's absolutely everything to me. I would say the comedy was actually only 30%. It's just that the comedy just now, it seems to be touched with going somewhere, so as well to pursue it just now,
Yeah, absolutely.
But the plan is for next year to come away with a whole new show, so getting that just as good and fresh is difficult. So there is a wee bit, yeah. But it's amazing, just everyday life and talking to folk and listening to stuff on the radio. It's stuff does come to you. And
you're going to be a father in July.
Yes,
so, speaking from experience, I know that will be incredibly life-changing, and I'm sure, I know there's plenty of comedy in it if you look for it. So if anybody can find it, you will.
Totally.
So that should be as long as Morag and the baby don't mind, quite a useful extra avenue for some material.
Oh, absolutely. And Morag won't mind. She's pretty funny herself. In fact, she comes up with some funny stuff sometimes, and then wants credit for it. So it's like, if you use that joke, you need to pay me. So my last stuff was all about when I used to be single and dating and going out nightclubbing in Perth and young farmers and that. But now it's all the next chapter, the more so-called sensible part of my life.
Well, maybe. So how do you reckon you split your time at the moment? In an average week, how much are you here and how much are you away doing gigs and stuff?
When I was trying to get myself established, there's maybe call it serve your apprenticeship, and plus I hadn't met Morag. I was single at that point as well, so I would do gigs maybe Aberdeen or mainly Edinburgh, Glasgow. But now, because I value my time weekends, Morag's a school teacher, I'm doing maybe less gigs, but the gigs that I'm doing are better, like my tour, it's a lot more worthwhile.
And you've got an agent who kind of does a lot of bookings for
you,
so that makes life a wee bit easier.
But I'm on the series of Breaking the News has started again. I'm a weekly panellist on that. So I guess you could say once a week just now, but that's but it's all worthwhile because it's exposure and things,
Yeah, exactly. And you must enjoy it, otherwise you wouldn't be.
Yes,
be doing it.
It's quite challenging to come up with new stuff every week, but it's good for you too.
Yeah.
Especially this time of year. I mean, I can just get my cattle done in the morning. It's a bit wet for doing anything else, and I wou't be saying that when we're lambing in them, because I think there's 2 episodes in April. So.
Because you can't always. I suppose you can. Some things you can avoid doing during lambing time, but not anything that's being determined by other people.
No. Yeah. We don't lamb till the 5th of April. It would normally be the 1st of April, but I've actually got I've got a corporate gig. It was quite good money, so I thought I'll put the tops out just a few days later.
So there's a bit of tweaking, farm management tweaking that you can do to fit in around gigs.
Yeah. Aye, because I think folk think I'm away all the time doing my comedy. I'm not really, and I know I did my tour last year, but it was all kind of Friday and Saturday nights and all within kind of easily travelling distance.
Yeah.
But it was worthwhile me doing. I know it sounds a bit big-headed, but it's diversification now, and if I didn't do that, I would maybe have to go out contracting or something.
Well, yeah,
you know, so
funny enough, that we were talking about that in the car on the way up, and it wasn't actually a word that had been in my mind. But, you know, if you think about it, it's the ultimate in unusual diversification, and that's what it is. Some people will go out and get a part-time job, or
a lot of
self-catering, tourism, that kind of thing. Renewable energy or whatever.
Big estates or that. So
it's more diversification.
Aye. Yeah, I'm just glad, because I think the size of farm we are now, I would need to diversify. There's a lot of young lads around here and they work really long hours in their tractors. The tractor now, a decent contractor's tractor that's reliable, you're talking about 80 or 100,000, maybe even a bit more. So you get that to get the work, and then you need the work just to pay for the tractor to start with. So it's not easy.
I suppose apart from your blue notebook and a pen, you don't need much equipment to...
Just imagination. I know, but there's days when
I'm... a skill, obviously, but no capital investment.
Well, very lucky.
So how did it all start? I know that's a big question.
Well, obviously I was in Young Farmers, and I used to love being in the panto. Perthshire Young Farmers did a panto every couple of years. I got a buzz from that, and I just started writing the sketches for it.
Did you usually win?
No, actually, Bathgate were the team to beat. But we did. The last year I was 29 year old. I was able to be in the team. We won it in Perth. That was brilliant. That was like a kind of World Cup moment. So that was nice. But it was after that. I think early 30s. I still wrote the panto for the Young Farmers, but I just had an inkling to do something else with it, really. And actually, I thought about starting a sketch group with a couple of other kind of funny guys that I knew, but they were all busy. And I then started. Two things happened. I started thinking about jokes that would be suitable for stand-up.
Yeah.
And
at that point, you hadn't done any stand-up? No.
In fact, I'd never even... I'd been to the Stand Comedy Club to watch stand-up once, and never really thought it was my thing. And then the other thing was Desperate Fishwives from Aberdeen. They're kind of like a spin-off from Scotland of What.
Oh, yes.
In fact, Buff Hardy's son was involved in it, John Hardy.
Far are you? You should be in Scotland, gone by your adverts.
Yes, we do have a centre in Dunfermline, sir.
Oh? And fits the weather like at your call centre?
It's quite a nice day.
Rubbish! I have a BBC's weather website open, and it is clearly pissing it down in Dunfermline. Far are you, really?
Basingstoke.
And they got a radio series, and I'd never heard of this group. They've been going for years, doing like all that kind of Doric humour, and I was well jealous. You know, it hit me like, it says nature. Right, I need to try and see if I can do something. It was just something in me. I didn't know how to go about it or anything, but I noticed in the Stand on their website they do beginners night on a Tuesday in Glasgow and a Monday in Edinburgh. It's called Red Raw, and anyone can apply. So you apply and get 2 5-minute slots.
Okay, yeah.
So I applied for that. I remember filling in the application and hitting the return button and getting a bit nervous about it. And then
had you told anybody you were doing this, or was it?
No, not until the night. That was like in August, and it said, there won't be any spaces till March, because there was that much a big... Because by then Kevin Bridges had just kind of hit it big time, and everyone was wanting to try it. And then they phoned up and said, we've got a cancellation for next week. This is like November. Do you want it? I was like, yeah. So, and I remember panicking. But I just told my mate, a pal of mine who lived in Glasgow, and my cousin. I just told two people, and that was it. And
because it's quite putting yourself out there, isn't it? If it's not something you've done before, it takes a lot of bravery, I think. Yeah.
But it was brilliant. They only charge, say, like £3 a ticket. So a lot of students go. So there's like 8 acts on, and there's always like a good headliner and a good compere, and 2 or 3 folk beginners, and then there could be established acts trying out new stuff. So you don't know what they're going to get. So I think the audience are a bit more forgiving. But the thing was packed, and but thankfully it went okay. I was really nervous before. I sat in the car for about an hour. Well, the first thing, I think I left at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was like a kind of pilgrimage, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of folk waving me off and all. And I had all these screeds of notes and trying to remember it, because it's not like, I've been that used to doing like Young Farmers After Dinner where you can just go on my notepad and a card. Well, you can't do that. So trying to, and thinking, how are you going to manage to speak for 5 minutes? But it absolutely flew by.
Did you get a real buzz at the end?
Oh, totally.
I bet, yeah.
I was absolutely buzzing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was high as a kite. I drove home absolutely. It was better than any drink, or not that I take drugs, but anything, it was just nothing I'd experienced
complete
before.
Adrenaline hit, and I guess that's the thing with any kind of addiction, isn't it? It's that adrenaline that makes you want to do it again. So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But as somebody said, Red Raw, the crowd are usually brilliant, so you come off thinking you're the next Michael McIntyre, and then you'll maybe get a pub gig in Largs or something the next week, and it doesn't go so well. Yes.
Did that happen?
I've had a few sticky ones. In the early days, because I'm a lot more experienced now, and I've got a broader range of materials. So, but it's good for. It doesn't do any harm.
Yeah, exactly. And do you find the farming community a hard audience?
Yes and no. Mainly all right, actually, because a lot of my stuff's suited for them.
Yeah.
I never worry when it's a farming audience now. I'd say actually farmers they're up for a laugh, so
Well, it's always gone down very well whenever I've heard you speaking.
Thanks,
so it's
the only thing I would say is maybe the slightly more conservative ones. I mean, I do F and Jeff a wee bit sometimes when it's needed. I don't do it liberal, it's not like,
doesn't it? Well, I've not recently seen anybody fall off their chair as a result of it.
No,
so
that's
I
fine.
think
I'll get up and leave. So.
You mentioned quite a lot in your sets about young farmers and the local community.
Yes, aye.
So that's obviously a key part of farming.
Oh,
but also
absolutely.
Specifically for you, like the local community have supported you in your comedy, but also in your farming over the years.
Yes, good neighbours. And I think it's difficult now because my neighbour Davey down the road, he's a tenant farmer like us, but with the last kind of remaining tenants around here, because there's a lot of, it's all big estates traditionally. When an old farmer retired, they would just take it in hand. So there's less and less, farming families. Yeah. So there is less folk you can call on, even less a community spirit, a wee bit.
Yeah.
Like the primary school, for example, and I went to it, there was be 50 pupils, and now I think it's struggling. It's only about 24. Gosh. This farm road alone, there's 3 farms up it and 5 houses. And when my sister Caroline started primary school back in 75, no.
I don't think she'll be very happy with
78, that. 78. Sorry, Caroline.
She probably doesn't want you to mention any numbers at all.
Way back in the late 70s, the minibus used to come up to this corner of the house and then pick up.
There's enough people for them to pick up.
And there's no kids now between the other side of the road as well. There's another 2 farms up there, or traditional was 2 farms.
Yeah.
There's no kids. So, and I was feeling guilty about going delving, maybe shutting down. But now I can say, well, if it just
make a positive contribution yourself.
If it just stays open for another 5 years.
And is the young farmer still quite vibrant in this area?
Aye. A local club, Bankfoot. I'm very proud of them. They've actually just won the national speechmaking for the second time in 4 years.
Oh, wow.
So they'd never won it ever, and then they've always been a small club, but beautifully formed. I said they've got the members that they do have are superb. So I'm vice president, but I haven't. Well, I'll get to the AGM next week. I haven't been at a meeting for ages, but they had their 70th anniversary there. So they managed to attract a lot of folk from Perth that maybe come up from different areas, and that was the joke at the top table. It was all immigrant workers, the man said, because the secretary's, I think, from Dumfries, and the assistant secretary's from Elgin, and the chairman himself's up from the south.
So you've solved the diversity problem in one fell swoop.
Absolutely.
You mentioned just there one of your sisters. I know you have two sisters.
Yes,
don't you? Have you always been the joker in the family ever since you were wee? Are you the youngest?
Yes,
Yeah. So were you always the wee brother that was the joker?
Difference.
Yeah.
That's just
you obviously at pains to highlight.
Oh, I'm only joking. There's only 4.5 years between the three of us. So. No. Claire and Caroline have a good sense of humour as well. Caroline's very good at telling a funny story, actually. Even Mum and Dad and that liked a joke as well, so there was always a bit of hilarity. We used to grow a lot of tatties, and so we're always brought up, either dressing tatties in the winter or rogan tatties in the summer. And if anyone that's done these two jobs, they're a bit monotonous, so you need a bit of humour, so especially rogan tatties. So Claire and I would always be at the kind of dragging our heels a bit, going up and down these drills, but going over Victoria Wood sketches or something, or Scottish and Rye.
So it's obviously been there since the early days.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I certainly wouldn't say at school I was a class clown. I was very quiet, actually, and just buckled down and got on with it.
Yeah.
I wasn't the joker at all, really.
And are you still in touch with some of your schoolmates? What do they think about this?
A wee bit. No, I didn't really. Any mates I did have were farmers' sons, so I see them now and again.
Yeah.
We just kind of because we just because especially at high school, everyone was into. Well, I do that joke about everyone being into Nirvana and me not knowing who Nirvana were. A lot of guys from school would go into Dundee on a Saturday and just go about into the Overgate or whatever it was. I just wanted to help Dad here, so we never did that kind of thing. But we all joined Young Farmers about 16. That was our thing,
I don't suppose you spend a lot of your spare time hanging about with other comedians, but you will see them quite fairly frequently.
I do enjoy their
do you
company,
notice that there's any kind of a difference between you and them, given your rural?
No, there's a lot of them. There's a few of them actually have farming connections. Or that. Ray Bradshaw, who does both his parents were deaf and does sign language. One of his shows in sign language.
Wow.
I think his dad was either a farmer or brought up on a farm.
So I'm doing this show in British Sign Language, BSL. What year did that become an official language in the UK, do you think? It dates back to the 1500s. What year do you think? Have a guess.
1482.
1482. Cool. When I said it dates back to 1500s, you were like, no, I've got a year, I'm happy. Okay. Generally, I've done this show about 35 times. That's the worst answer in fact.
There's a lot of, and I kind of envious them in a way. There's kind of young lads in their early 20s living in Glasgow, just doing their stand-up, and they're on the circuit now and they're doing really well. I think a lot of folk thought it was an act, actually. It took them a while to think, is he actually a real farmer? No, they ask about the sheep and all that, and the lambing and everything. I've actually had a few stay over now and again, because I have to organise a gig at Blairgowrie once a year, so I have some of them staying, and I take them up the hill and all the rest of it,
Yeah.
see what they think, but...
So you haven't had to buy yourself a new wardrobe of skinny jeans and stuff, so you can fit in with all these guys?
No, I'm well past the skinny jeans stage, I think. So, but that's why I like it, because they'll do their stuff and it's really funny, and then when I come on, it's just something else that's different. Thankfully, there's plenty of funny farmers, but thankfully they're not all trying to cut it as stand-up, or else they'd get, that niche market's covered.
Yeah, exactly. Stay out. But no, seriously though, are there any other stand-up farmer comedians? Or are you the first?
No, the great inspiration for me growing up was Colin Campbell, who was just a genius. I thought he did local radio. It was called Colin Campbell's Local Radio Show, and he would go to hello there, he says, welcome to Radio Tarith, and then he'd go, hello, welcome to Radio Betty Hill up here in Caithness, right enough,
We're swinging and a jingling through the day. Johnny Bolson's a lad to keep ye gay. He's completely tireless, so tune in your wireless till swinging Radio Caithness. Well, hello there. Hello, good morning. Good morning and welcome to y'all here till Radio Caithness.
I was listening to him when I should have been listening to Nirvana, basically. so now he's still he's legendary, but I don't think he was appreciated much really south of Stirling, So there's a few young farmers tried it actually, and there's guys I know that I would love to see do it, because they're really naturally funny people.
But they're not not keen.
No, just they've got the confidence maybe in a party or something, but it's different going up on stage.
Well, it takes a lot of guts. I think it must have taken you a lot of guts to click submit on that first form for the stand, because it's putting yourself out there, and not everybody necessarily wants to do that or can kind of see how they're going to cope with it down the line.
I think you've really got to want to do it to get through the fear.
And how do you feel about the kind of status that it brings, the kind of fame and the kind of sex symbol stuff? I know you're laughing, but it's serious, because you do have people who are messaging you on Twitter, should we say?
All these folk lasses with double barrel names, Tanny Lee. It's not so much folk messaging me directly. It's there's a few nice flattering comments on Facebook, when I put out like a farm diary or something, but nothing. I can't really say what they say, but you must read it more than me. I don't read. Morag's blocked me from reading.
Look, everybody, go and have a look. We maybe won't put it out on the podcast. But do you feel embarrassed, or you just kind of like take it on the chin and just?
No, well, I'm not really. It sounds big. I'm not going to say, "Hey, yeah, well, it's all part and parcel of the thing." I can handle it. No, I think if they saw me dressed like this, they would thank God. I think, to be fair, a lot of expat Scots appreciate it, and that's the beauty of the internet and likes the farm diaries, and and especially because I usually put in that kind of Doric kind of accent, northeast accent, and it does appeal to a lot of folk abroad, and if they happen to be second time divorces for the Midwest America, so be it, because I always think farmers are looked down upon, but there seems to be that kind of rug. I think they all think we're cowboys and just ride about on horseback, kind of wrestling a calf to the ground. Well, of course I don't do that.
But that actually raises something else that I wanted to ask you, actually, because I think, and it was my husband who mentioned this. I said, I'm going to see Jim Smith. What do you think I should ask him? Because you listen to this podcast, what do you want to hear? And he said, well, actually, like, if you are going to be serious for a bit, I consider Jim to be an ambassador of farming. Many people do have a misconception of what farming is really like. And by becoming the famous comedian farmer, Jim is actually highlighting what farming is, the fact that farmers are normal and that they're business owners and business people, not just, kind of chuchters who are driving around or riding around on horses. And so, as much as this is your career, I think you're actually doing a great service to the agricultural industry. So, kind of just interested to see what you think about that as part of the role, which is maybe incidental. Yeah,
it is, because I certainly, I'm quite happy to help fight the corner along with the likes of Adam Henson, and especially this Farming Life. I think that's been fantastic, especially the last series with the Budge girls from Shetland and Raymond Irvin and guys like that, just honest, hard-working people. That's why it's so popular, because folk want to know the people. I know it's cute, they've got the animals and all the rest of it, but folk want to know the people, and we're not, and we do have that tarnished. We are labelled a wee bit of having that kind of thing. We all fly about in 4x4s, and we've all got 12,000 acres, and that kind of thing. And then there's the other side of it, like you'll see an advert for crisps or something, and the guy's going about in an old Ferguson cabless tractor. Well, that's so I think trying to get the real. If I can help promote that farmers are actually okay, nice normal people, then that's a bonus,
Just as long as you're not creating the expectation that they're all really funny, because they're not.
No,
there's a fair few. But
you should do some of the most. I've met some lovely people, but they would look well in a Father Ted sketch, But then I've met some great characters too. We're very fortunate. You've got some great characters. A lot of who I've based my comedy on. So.
Naming no names.
I'll go.
Aye, hello there, it's Farmer Jim here. Just want to say thanks for tuning in and taking a minute out your day and listening to the podcast and about farming and telling jokes like you can. It's been brought here on up in the farm like you can. Brings a bit of glamour to the lambing field like you can. Floss! Floss! That damn dog.
Spot on. We came here to Jim's farm to record one episode of the On Farm podcast, but we've spoken for such a long time and had such a good blether that we've decided to split our chat over 2 episodes. So do make sure you're subscribed. Share On Farm with any Jim Smith fans that you might know. There's loads of them out there. And we'll be back with Jim next week for the second part of our chat.